It looks like now he's going to go ahead and pick up the one medevac that does not have a lot of health left, does get picked off, but unfortunately it was not the one that had the units in it, and Quinn does not manage to pick off a lot of the units. But unfortunately for Quinn, once again, he lost so many workers. He's lost 13 workers already. He could be up quite a few, but for now it looks like McCombie's going to be looking to be in a great position. He's already sitting up at 4 expansions. And there is a little bit of harassment going on with this one zealot. He will be able to do quite a bit of damage to those mules if they decide to stick around behind the mineral line. But unfortunately for that poor zealot, he does not realize that he cannot actually kill this massive planetary fortress, which is actually even getting repaired up by those mules. Very annoying for Quinn indeed. But let's go jump back to the production tab and see what exactly these players are up to after that attack. Now, McCombie did a lot of damage with that attack, but he is by no means already won this game. Quinn can still make some great comebacks, knowing that McCombie's supply is going to be limited. If Quinn is able to max out his army fast enough and just attack into McCombie, no matter how good McCombie's Master League micro is, he will have a very difficult time actually really surviving against that big attack if Quinn doesn't manage to get up this Colossus count that he seems to be going for, as he does have that robotics bay. He is allowed to build those Colossus now, and he is going for that +2 weapon, so those Colossus will be able to do a massive amount of damage. Now, Quinn also is sitting on a pretty scary force. Now, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the army supply. It is about at 25 to 47, so Quinn massively in the lead in terms of army supply, and McCombie really going to have a hard time. He can build a couple more units if he so chooses to, but it looks like for now he's going to be saving that army supply, going to be going for those ghosts. Oh, I really like this. Ghosts are a very cost-effective unit, as laying down that EMP can take out all the shields from those immortals. It can take out a lot of damage and really just turn the tide into McCombie's favor, knowing that his opponent is a Silver League player. But hold on, looks like the army of McCombie caught a little bit out of position, not in the greatest of games for McCombie. Now it looks like Quinn is going to be moving across the map, and this is a very scary army. They do not manage to kill off these medevacs, but it looks like for now McCombie should be able to reproduce most of his army almost immediately. Now he does still have 22 army supplies, so where is that army supply eating up in right now? It looks like he does have one or a couple medevacs, and it looks like McCombie saying this is going to be a very difficult win, and I have to agree, this is going to be a very difficult way for McCombie to have to try and deal with. So let's see if he can pull it off. He does have these bunkers that will be very helpful if he can target fire down those Colossus in some way, or maybe do some kind of drop harass. Oh man, he might be able to come back into this. Maybe if he can target down that production facility, turn this into some kind of crazy base race situation. But unfortunately for now, he's going to have to rely on maybe trying to repair this planetary fortress. He is going to be able to kill off quite a few units with this planetary fortress. Actually, no, planetary fortress not really massing up as many kills as I thought he would. But it looks like he is going to catch this army in a bit of a flanking position. He's going to be able to pick off a couple of these units while those Colossus were firing over at the remaining SCVs of McCombie. Let's go ahead and take a look at the worker count. McCombie's still doing pretty gosh darn well in that SCV count, but for now he does have to scary about this army barreling down. But it looks like for now, actually, he did a pretty good job cleaning up most of the zealots and the immortals for Quinn, so he's going to be able to force Quinn into a retreating position. Meanwhile, McCombie is sitting up on those 3 bases. He does have that 4th expansion already ready to go, and meanwhile, it looks like Quinn does finally have his 3rd expansion, so he's going to be looking to push this again into the later game. Now McCombie, look at these minerals he's floating. It is so difficult to spend all of that money when you can really only build just pure units, or you can really only build not quite as many units as you would like. He is sitting up at the 19-minute mark. That means he can build about 38. I can do math, guys. I am going to college for math. But no, he can build about 38 supply in army, so he will be able to do some good aggression right here. Looks like the army of Quinn's a little bit out of position. Oh my god! The defensive / offensive nuke does not manage to get the timing down just quite right. Oh my god, but these Colossus are going to get hit by this if he does not notice it. Oh, and the nuke goes down, he does a pretty decent amount of damage, not quite as much as you would like, but there is no observer. Oh no, it looks like Quinn was using all of his robotics facility time to build those Colossus, and it looks like he's continuing to do so. Does not have the observer to spot out that those ghosts, and oh my god, this could be the turning point that Makomi needs to come back into this game, and those nukes are going to be so useful. They are going to be so cost effective, as a ghost is just 1 or 2 army supply. We can see here it's just 2 army supply, and really 2 army supply for the potential to kill off almost your entire opponent's army. That's a great trade, and I would take that any day. A very wise decision from Makomi. It looks like this game is back on. Makomi was looking to be in a very difficult position, but we can see here now the general supply counts are very, very similar, so it looks like this game is turning out to be quite a competition indeed. Looks like we do see another nuke going down over in the middle line. Oh my god, the observer is out though. Oh no, this observer is not going to be able to spot out this ghost, but it looks like Quinn does notice in time. Does lose a couple of those pros, but not a huge deal. He does keep that Nexus alive, and this ghost is going to go ahead and chill over here. He is out of cloaking energy though, so he has to be very careful. There's another nuke going down. That ghost is going to get picked off, unfortunately. It looks like the ghost over here is going to try and land that nuke over on the ramp, hoping that Quinn does not in fact notice that there is in fact that. Oh my god, Quinn, what are you doing? Quinn, what are you doing? Oh my god, that is it does lose a couple of those units, not a massive amount. The tree is going down and bursting into flames, as he's going to have to be in a very difficult position. Oh my god, oh wow. Did he actually? No, wait, okay. The probes are still alive, so it looks like there was a potential double nuke going on. It looks like there's one more nuke going down for Makomi. But it looks like Quinn is really just going to be a bit paranoid about whether or not there are nukes going down as expansion. He's going to probably just be pulling them regardless of what ends up happening. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the workers kill. Looks like no massive amount of workers have been killed. Looks like there is another nuke going down. Where is it? Where is it? It's over at the third. Now, does Quinn notice? He should notice, as he has been pulling all of his workers away. It looks like there is the pull-off. Oh no, he's going to lose a couple of those workers. Oh, he actually loses quite a few. A lot more than I thought. Actually ends up losing about 14, and now the army of Makomi pushing in, doing a little bit of damage to the remaining pros that were trying to retreat. Does manage to kill off a couple, but now Quinn, in a rage and just completely out of it, does want to go over and kill Makomi. He is sick of all of these nukes. He does not want to deal with this any longer. He's going to go ahead and move over to the 4th expansion of Makomi. There is another nuke going down. Where is it? Where is the nuke? It looks like it might be in a defensive position somewhere. Oh, it was over here, and it looks like that ghost did get killed off, so no nuke coming down for Makomi. It looks like this planetary fortress is also going to go down. It's going to be a very, very difficult hold for Makomi, but maybe with some glorious nukes, if he does manage to land a couple of money nukes and just stop Quinn from really being able to barrel down, he will be able to maybe save himself. Let's take a look at the army supply. This is at the 24-minute mark, so that does mean he can have 58 supply. Oh, wait, hold on, wait. 24 minutes. He should only be able to have 48 supply. But Makomi! You have 53 supply. You can only have 20. Well, it'll be 30 in a second. Oh. 50. 50. No, he can have more than 30. So he's sitting up at that, but let's see if he can get. Oh, wow, that was a really good nuke. Wow, a second amazing nuke. Oh my god, that was a money nuke indeed. Looks like with that, he's actually just going to be 1 supply over. Now he's okay. Looks like he's in the clear for now. But at the same time, Quinn is going to be massacring the remaining forces and bases of Makomi, and it looks like he's going to be reproducing as many units as he can. Right now, we do see that a couple additional nukes are being produced, but it looks like for now, oh my god, this is where the army of Makomi is. He was going out for that base trade situation. There are a couple of Colossus over here that could have been defending, but it looks like for now, Makomi's going to go straight for the gut of that expansion. He's going to try and do as much damage to the economy of Quinn. He knows that as long as he can maybe just try and kill off Quinn's ability to remake his army and really just start to out macro Quinn or Makomi right now, he might be able to go for this base trade situation and just be as cost effective as possible. Does he have any medevacs out? He does have a couple of medevacs, so so that will allow his units to be even more cost effective. He will also go for those kind of drop situations. He's going to be able to pick off a few stalkers over here. Does he manage to lose any units? Does manage to keep most of those units. Oh my god, I don't think he actually lost a single unit in the engagement. So very well done from Makomi, but looks like at the same time he's going to be losing all of his production. And now he's floating away the command centers. Now, once again, one rule that I have not really touched upon quite as much in any of the previous balance battles is that I do claim the right to basically forfeit one of the players' wins or situations if they do end up in some kind of cookie situation where, for example, Makomi does end up lifting off his command center, floating over to the corner, and trying to force a stalemate. I will be able to force. Oh my god, looks like the entire army of Quinn is going to get cleaned up. Let's see over here. We do see, just a little bit of army left for Quinn, but it's not going to be nearly as cost effective. The nuke going down does not manage to catch the stalkers, but still, this is going to be a very, very tough situation for Quinn. He does still have all of his production facilities up, so that's going to be very useful. But meanwhile, at the same time, it looks like Makomi does have most of his up as well. He floated over to the middle of the map, so now Makomi's going to slowly be picking off the remaining units. These two stalkers are the last of the forces for Quinn that are out on the map, not in his base. And they will get picked off in just a couple of seconds. So very, very well done by Makomi. All of that multi-pronged harass, those nukes, those money nukes, saving him and going for that base trade situation. A very wise decision. Looks like he actually just out base traded Quinn, in fact, in this situation where he gutted the entire economy of Quinn. We can see here just in income. Oh my god, there's absolutely no income for Quinn, just sitting at about 100, just this long distance mining. And wait, is there... Oh, looks like this command center is burning down, but slowly does get repaired finally back up. So not going to be a huge deal over there. Let's see. It looks like the army of Makomi is making its way across the map. Let's go ahead and take a look. There is about the 30-minute mark, so he's allowed to have a close to 60 supply. He's doing well and fine over there, but it looks like he's going to be going for the kill. This observer does spot that this army is going across the map. He would be very well advised to maybe warp in a couple of sentries. And oh no, it looks like there is going to be that... Oh, the nuke does get canceled. And these Colossus are doing a massive amount of damage, but it is not enough. Even with the +3 weapons upgrade, he is not going to be able to hold off this massive force of Makomi. And by massive force, I mean very paltry force, but very, very cost effective in terms of supply. And it looks like he is going to be able to kill off this expansion. Not many units left over here, and the medevacs are completely dead on energy, but it looks like Quinn is going to GG as he feels he cannot hold this off, and I have to agree, it's going to be a very difficult hold, even with all of that production. He does not have the economy, so that is going to put an end to game 1 of today's balance battles. Let's go and transition away. XSplit, listen to me, XSplit, there we go. So that does put an end to game 1 of balance battles. This does put Makomi back up into a leading position. He does have 1 win right now. We are not going to be carrying over wins from previous balance battles, unfortunately, for Makomi. So if he wants to surpass his previous win record of 3, he is the current champion, tied with Anapob. So we're going to have to see if he can, in fact, overtake his old record. We do not have any new players on right now, so... looks like for now, we're going to be continuing to play with these same players. So if you do want to go ahead and join, you are tuning in right now, you can go ahead and join the channel Balance Battle. That's no space, no S at the end. It should be somewhere in the title up around there. So you could go ahead and join that on North America server. And yeah, you can go ahead and join and talk to Curtis, or who's my co-caster. He's also been helping me out a lot in casting these games. His name is Amaface, so you can go ahead and message him. He'll put you on the queue to be joining these balance battles. But a very, very fun game indeed. With that last game, it was a Masters level player versus Silver level player. Makomi, being the Masters level player, was not allowed to produce any more army supply than double the number of minutes that had passed in the game, so it was a very limiting thing. We saw he was having a lot of issues with that early on after he'd really finished up a lot of that Reaper harassment. But eventually, but eventually he was able to come back with a lot of multi-prong aggression. He did some of those drops. He went for the ghost, which was a very wise decision. He was allowed to land those money nukes. And those nukes just really brought him back into the game, being able to do a lot of damage with only 2 supply of an army. So very well done by Makomi. Let's go ahead and see exactly what's going on. It looks like I was getting a little bit of lag on the stream. Oh yeah, I do have quite a few frames dropped on XSplit. So hopefully that does manage to clear itself up in just a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and see if these players do in fact want to play one more game. If in fact there are no more players, then I'll probably just end it a little bit early. You guys can go ahead and head home. Oh, there it is. And let me really quickly just go ahead and mute Skype. Just 1 second, guys. There we go. Okay. And that should be it. For now, let's go ahead and see if these players want to play one more time. This is going to be Makomi versus Quinn, the rematch. And Makomi obviously obligated to and allowed to stay on one more game, as he did just win the last game. And this time it looks like we're going to have a map change though, so I'm pretty happy with how that game went. It seemed to be a fairly even exchange, and it was pretty difficult for Makomi, but he was eventually able to overcome his handicap. The next map is going to be Daybreak, so this is going to be the Blizzard version of Daybreak. Let's go ahead and pull up that map. My co-caster Curtis actually calling that handicap complete BS, and I have to say it's a pretty tough handicap. We might have to go back and revise that a little bit. But for now, let's go ahead and stick with it, as it seemed to turn out some pretty interesting games. And we're going to go ahead and get these players into the game. We'll see if Makomi does decide to stick with Terran, as that might end up working out pretty well for him if he does decide to stay that way. And it looks like we are just waiting on Quinn to join. But let me go ahead and recap on exactly what Balance Battle is for anyone that might be tuning in a little bit later. Balance Battle is just a fun little King of the Hill style thing that I set up, where you can go ahead and face off against people of different leagues. So a Masters League player can play against a Gold League player, can play against a Platinum League player, can play against a Bronze League player, etc., etc. And we apply some handicaps to try and balance out exactly how the games will go. Put some handicaps on the higher league player so that the lower league player has a better chance and a more fighting, a bit more of a fair situation to eventually be able to try and take off some games from that higher league player. Looks like all the players are in, but let's go ahead and see if they are ready. Once again, the map is going to be Daybreak. Let's go ahead and pull that up. 1 second. There we are. So Daybreak is going to be a very large map, so we might see some of that Reaper aggression again from Makomi, but unfortunately for him, on this map it's going to be very difficult to use those Reapers, as there are not exactly a lot of cliffs going into your main, so that might actually cause a few issues. Oh, wait. What is the Platinum level handicap? Oh, sorry. What are the handicaps? Hold on, it looks like the players are a little bit confused on exactly what's going on. Oh, if we want to try a different handicap just for the fun of it, let's go ahead and do that. So let's see. Oh, since it is a repeat, we are going to go ahead and change up the handicap that will be applied just to make it a little bit more interesting. Give you a little bit of variety in the games. Let's see if you want to try... Okay, let's try the Diamond versus Silver one, maybe? Yeah, so the Diamond versus Silver one, that is in fact the Protoss or Terran player is not allowed to have more than just 2 unit-producing structures at a time, and Zerg is only allowed to produce out of 1 hatchery. So this is actually going to be a very, very difficult handicap as well, and let's see if Makomi can overcome this. This means that he does not have any cap on the supply, but that also means that he's going to be very limited on how fast he can produce his units, so he has to be very careful with his units. He cannot afford to lose them, as it's going to take a very long time to reproduce them. And one thing that Makomi did want clarified was if he does end up going as Protoss, then if the warp gate, you are only allowed to warp in and you have to wait for the cooldown. We're not going to have people saying, oh, well, I only made 2 units at a time. I have 8 gateways, but I made 2, and then I made 2, and then I made 2, 5 seconds apart. It's fine. No, you have to wait until the cooldown is completely completed. So anyways, let's go ahead and get this game started. This is once again going to be Quinn versus Makomi, the rematch. As if you do want to play, you can go ahead and join the Balance Battle chat. But for now, we are just going to be applying a different handicap to these 2 players to make the games a little bit more fun and a little bit interesting. So for now, we are going to be applying that diamond level player versus the silver level player handicap on Makomi. Makomi did end up winning the last game, but we're going to go ahead and just see exactly how well this handicap ends up going for him. The map will be Daybreak. This is the Blizzard version of Daybreak, and once again, Makomi over here on the right-hand side, spawning as yellow, will be the Masters level player who's going to be impersonating a diamond level player, and Quinn going to be the silver level player. We see a very fast drone split from Makomi as he starts off in the bottom left-hand corner as the Masters League yellow Zerg player. He did go as random, so that does mean he did not go into this with a complete game plan necessarily. Can he overtake this? His name is Makomi. And he's also sitting up 1-0 against his opponent, who is spawning up here in the top right-hand corner as the blue Protoss. He is a silver level player. Can he take down his opponent? His name is Quinn. Now, once again, the handicap imposed on Makomi is that he is not allowed to have any units producing out of more than just 1 hatchery. So he's going to have to just pick 1 hatchery that he wants to produce units out of. He can switch it off variably across the entirety of the game. If he does get this hatchery snipe, for example, he does not have to stop producing units entirely. He is allowed to start producing as natural, but he may only be producing from 1 at a time. So that does mean he's going to need to really nail those larva injects. It's going to be so important, but luckily for him, he only has to larva inject from 1 hatchery at a time. So hopefully, since he is maining a Protoss player, he will be able to hopefully overcome that difficulty in his handicap. Now we do see Quinn going for that very normal wall off that you oftentimes see Protoss players doing against a Zerg player. And it looks like for now, Makomi not really opting to scout out his opponent, just going to be going with that Overlord scout, not too worried about exactly what his opponent Quinn is doing. And it looks like he actually managed to go for that hatchery first build. Oftentimes you do see that the Protoss players do like to block that hatchery and force a spawning pool up, or maybe even throw down a pylon over where that hatchery normally goes. But for now, it looks like Makomi going to safely get that hatchery down as he is up against a Silver League player, maybe not as well versed in those kind of tactics. So that will be very good for Makomi. He's going to be able to get a bit of an economic edge to make sure that he is producing or making the most of his economy, since he is going to be limited by everything else. And in the meanwhile, that wall off is getting completed. He is going to have that Zealot popping out in just a little bit while that Cybernex core does end up finishing. He is mining off of just 1 gas geyser. So one interesting thing to note is that Quinn, in fact, did not go for the very common Forge Fast Expand that a lot of Protoss players love to do, especially on this map. But instead is going for that Gateway Expand, it looks like. You might actually see some aggression out of Quinn first, though. We're going to have to wait and see. There's only one way to find out exactly what is on Quinn's mind. He might actually be going for some kind of 4-gate play, as he has actually not taken that second gas geyser, and generally you want to take that second gas geyser by around this time. But for now, we do see the proxy pylon, so it is going to be a lot of aggression coming out from Quinn. Now Makomi once again is only allowed to produce from this hatchery at this point in time. Right now he is getting both of his gas geysers up, so looking to maybe get that Zergling speed research. There it is, going down just a little bit late, but for now we do see that that warp gate is about only a quarter of the way completed. So looks like for now Quinn throwing down that proxy pylon very, very early in the game, and he could actually risk getting this scouted out by Makomi very early on if he is not careful, as all he has to do is send over a drone to maybe try and take a third, and he will end up being in a very, very rough position. Now we do see 2 Zerglings already out on the map. Do we see a drone transfer going down? Yes, oh, actually it looks like a couple of drones going out to build some spine crawlers. So it looks like Makomi did somehow get some kind of vision out to see exactly what... Oh wow, actually no, he has still not actually seen the proxy pylon, and he's not even scouted at all into Quinn's base. So a very interesting decision. He is only now going to be seeing whether or not Quinn even decided to take an expansion yet. So for all he knows, Quinn could have 7 proxy gateways over here, but for now he is going to be able to see that there is in fact no expansion. He's going to be a bit wary on exactly what is going on, and I think that this is actually a very wise decision to have these spine crawlers down, as he did not know exactly what his opponent was up to. And we do see Warp Gate technology finishing up. He does have those units warping in, an infestation pit going down for Makomi, so that does mean he will be able to get those infestors out. A very nice unit choice indeed, as if you're going to produce only a couple units at a time, infestors are a great choice. Once you do get... Oh, it looks like the stalkers were in vision, so that did cue Makomi to throw down the spine crawlers. Looks like that was in fact what he decided to do, and looks like a lot of spine crawlers going down. That's 7 spine crawlers. It's going to be able to do a massive amount of damage. Looks like Quinn just looking to do the... Oh my god, he tries to do a run into the main, but the Queen and the single drone do get a block off. So masterful control from Makomi over there, but they do end up getting picked off. Now Quinn marching into the base. He knows that those are just spine crawlers. They need to re-burrow if they want to defend against this aggression. It looks like a couple of the Zelts moving down accidentally. A little bit of miscontrol from Quinn, but he's going to be able to do a lot of damage. Now let's select, for now, Makomi's going to be producing out of this hatchery, so that's going to be the one where all the units will need to come out of. Meanwhile, it looks like at the same time, Quinn's going to be able to do a lot of damage. He's going to be able to pick off the spawning pool. That's going to stop any production of almost any units. There is a Hydralisk den going down over here at the natural. I think that's a wise decision. Start rebuilding some of that infrastructure now so that you won't have to worry about losing it later. And it looks like now the infestation pit is getting target fired down. There is 2 infestors on the way. He does not have the larva to really build too much more. He's also a little bit low on that supply, or sorry, that money, as he did have to build all of these extractors over here at that natural to try and defend. Unfortunately, it did not end up working out too well for him, as he is going to lose his entire freaking main. And that's a pretty bad position to be in at this point in time. Looks like for now, Quinn actually throwing on additional gateways. I'm not too sure he can support 7 gateways on one base, but we're going to see if he can. But for now, it looks like he's going to be cleaning up the remaining forces. Now, he's going to have a very difficult time running away from this base. It looks like he's going to get fungled on the ramp, most likely. There it is. These Zealots being completely useless. These spine crawlers just completely poke everything to death. Oh no, this is very, very poor situation for Quinn, as even though he did manage to do a lot of damage, if we can see here in the worker count, he's up about 7 or actually 10 workers. I can do math once again. I can do math, I promise you. But at the same time, Quinn did not decide to expand. I think expanding instead of throwing down those additional 3 gateways would have been a very wise decision. Makomi's going to go ahead and get a scout out to see that there was in fact no expansion. He's going to be pretty happy to see that. I imagine he might actually even be suspecting that there is in fact a hidden expansion somewhere on the map. I would actually be thinking the same thing in this situation. But it looks like for now, Quinn is going to go ahead and throw down his expansion finally. And he is sitting on those 7 gateways, so if he does decide to expand one more time, he will have the infrastructure to start producing units way faster than Makomi, who's actually just sitting on 1 base. So a very odd situation for Makomi. He is sitting on 1 base, has Hydralisk and infestors out, but he is only allowed or able to produce additional Hydralisk at this point in time. Actually does have that spawning pool as well, so he will be able to produce a couple of those Zerglings, maybe to get a little bit of map control, also to deal with some of those aggression. Actually, I don't think that... Oh no, Metabolic Boost actually never finished up for Makomi. That's going to be very annoying, as he's definitely going to want to be producing a couple of Zerglings to put on some kind of harassment, maybe get a bit more scouting information. But for now, those Zerglings are going to be very, very slow. Now, he does have quite a bit of gas built up, so once he does eventually get that lair tech back up, he will be able to maybe throw down another infestation pit, be able to spend some of that gas. But for now, it looks like he's going to continue to mine off just this 1 base. A very interesting decision. I'm really surprised that he has not decided to take another expansion. He might be a little bit afraid that Quinn is in fact gearing up to build another army, but for now, he does scout out to see exactly what's up at Quinn's base, and he should feel a little bit safer trying to take that expansion, as he does now know that he has all of these spine crawlers. Maybe he can try and retake his main considering it will also be behind the security and safety of these spine crawlers, as he can move those spine crawlers up a little bit, stop that same run-by action that happened in the last engagement from happening once again. We do see a roach one going down though, and we also see in groove spine, so that will allow the Hydralisk to have a little bit additional range. But unfortunately for Makomi, he's going to be falling so far behind in the worker count at this point. He is already 20 behind, but unfortunately for him, he is only Quinn is only 10 supply or 15 supply ahead of Makomi, so that does mean that he is going to be a little bit lacking in the army for now. Now Quinn is going to go ahead and send out his observer, try and see what he can see. Fortunately for Quinn, he actually still has this pylon, and wow, Makomi still does not know about it, so we actually would be very much moved. Oh, does he see it? He is so close, but he does not see it. He's actually going to be moving out across the map with his queen, so this is going to be a very much an all-in from Makomi. He does have, oh my god, even the spine caller is getting in on this action. He's going to be going for that lair attack, maybe hoping to drop some creep over here to burrow some of those spine crawlers and try and just end this game now. That's exactly why he did not bother to even build another expansion, as he was not even going to be able to use that additional larva. It's pretty much just, oh, Quinn's observer did manage to see those units as they were moving across the map, so he is going to go ahead and gear up, maybe actually going to try and meet these units across in the middle of the map before the spine crawlers can actually burrow, and these spine crawlers are going to move across the map very, very slowly. But oh, it looks like Makomi does manage to see the entire army of Quinn, so he will be able to try and catch his army a little bit off guard. Does the fungal go down? The fungal goes down, and he managed to snipe a lot of these units. These Hydros are going to eat up all of these units from Quinn, and Quinn's army is going to be lacking so much. He does not have the so vital sentry that he needs. He could have done some great force shields over here on the ramp to stop this army from coming up, but it looks like for now he's going to be in a very, very picky or peculiar situation where he does have, oh, actually that massive gateway count really coming in handy. He's able to work with quite a few units, but this is so many Hydros. He's going to be able to pick apart this army of Quinn in no time, and it looks like now the Queen losing a little bit of health, but does manage to survive. He can also throw down a couple of those transfuses, and this, oh my god, this infestor is going to have enough energy for yet another fungal growth, but there is an additional warping, and this is actually going to potentially clean up the entire army out of the Makomi. Makomi actually deciding to engage without throwing down that creep. Now the creep is finally going down, so he will be able to throw down those spine crawlers and get them burrowed in to help out with this engagement. But these Immortals are going to do a massive amount of damage to these spine crawlers. It's such a strange situation. I've never thought I'd see Hydralisk being forced to micro against the Zealots, while at the same time spine crawlers being forced to target fire down Immortals. What the heck is going on in this game? And it's at Quinn's base now. Wow, this is amazing. Oh my god, now additional Zealots being warped in with charge completed. So now these Zealots are going to be so scary in this game. Oh my god, what is scarier for Hydralisk than charged Zealots? There's absolutely no chance of you being able to run away. Now at this point, we still see Makomi has not expanded yet, and I really think he's going to need to expand sometime in the near future, as he does need to produce a couple of additional drones as well. He's only really mining minerals from 21-6. That is in fact awkward silence. Anyways, we do see a couple of Hydralisk reinforcing, and he's going to do a little bit additional damage to Quinn over here, and he does have a couple additional spine crawlers also building, and this is going to be a very scary hold for Quinn, but he did it in the last time. He might be able to do it again. He does have this massive gateway count. He also has that robotics bay completed, so he will be able to produce. He does have the money for it as well. The Colossus, and the Colossus will do a massive amount of damage to these Hydros. People like to say that Hydros basically melts to Colossus, and he does also have that +1 weapons upgrade, so he will be able to do a massive amount of damage if he can remember to actually start producing them. He's not producing them right now. It looks like the Hydros count is just a little bit too high. Talk about ironic, as Hydralisk do begin with the word high. Nah, that's funny. But anyways, it looks like all the probes retreating for Quinn now. He is not going to have basically any mining, as the mining in his main is completely emptied out. This is such a scary force. Even the drones being pulled for Makomi, he's going 100% all in. Let's take a look over here. 14 Hydralisk count. Are now dwindling down to 10. It looks like Quinn is not giving up just quite yet. He's going to go ahead and produce that Colossus. He needs to be chrono boosting this. He has two Nexus, both with full energy, so he needs to be chrono boosting this out to survive. All of the drones did get pulled, so that did give him a little bit additional time. Oh, actually, even the Zealots chasing after these drones, even going to be able to snipe a reinforcing Hydralisk. Can he actually survive this? The Colossus should be popping up in just a little bit. There's an additional warp in, but unfortunately for Quinn, he's forced to try and mine at his natural expansion while is under fire from these Hydros. Oh no, actually sacrificing that Zealot, that poor Zealot. Now this Colossus should be able to out-micro these Hydros if he does decide to do a good job. He is in Silver League, so he might have a little bit of trouble microing against a Master League player. Now, Makomi, actually does manage to snipe off that expansion. Now this Colossus taking quite a amount of damage. Now he does have to be so careful. He ends up losing the Colossus. Oh no, that's such a big loss for Quinn. That was his last saving grace. He does have a couple of Zealots moving in and trying to make their way across down the ramp. And meanwhile, he's trying to do this long distance mining, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Wow, there are 500 left, and Quinn just really does not have any response at this point in time. He does have this one stalker out, and this was such a close game, I have to say. Very well played by both these players. Almost managed to get that Colossus micro nailed down, but did end up losing it in the end. So very well done from Makomi. That does put him up at 2 wins, so he's getting close to that old victory and that old score that he used to have. So let's go ahead and see if there are any more contestants for these balance battles. Oh, looks like we do have quite a few contestants now. Alrighty, let's go ahead and invite the players into the game. We do have Makomi going to be in this next game as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at what exactly this map will be. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put it on this screen for just 1 second. Alrighty, and it looks like we are going to see Bird of Hermes playing, and that is in fact going to be an unranked player. I'm going to treat them as a bronze level player. So we're going to have to wait and see what exactly is the restriction for a Masters League player versus a Bronze League player. It is going to be you cannot make more than 8 workers per base, and you may not leave your base until the 7-minute mark. So this is a very difficult handicap. So Makomi really just getting loaded on with difficult handicaps. So let's go ahead and take a look to see what exactly the map will be. The map will be Entomb Valley. So Entomb Valley, let's go ahead and pull that map up. It is a 4-player map. And let's go ahead and invite the players into the game. We do have Makomi is going to be invited, as is my co-caster Curtis. Thank you everyone, please thank you Curtis so much for helping with doing all these casts, making sure that I am not missing out on too many of the small things, also making sure that I have good math skills. As let's be honest, I'm not very good at math. Let's see, Bird of Hermes. Oh, actually, Bird of Hermes actually in a game already, so a little bit unfortunate. Bird of Hermes. Let's go ahead and see if Bird of Hermes does in fact still want to play. And meanwhile, it looks like Makomi is also going to go to the bathroom. I love this theory that I have, which my co-caster Curtis completely disagrees with. But I feel that it's really best to play when you have your bladder completely empty. Go to the bathroom before you end up playing. It really does help. I have to do it before I go play any kind of game competitively or even to cast. But of course, my co-caster Curtis seems to believe that you're actually better off just holding it. You perform better, he says. He says it was a scientific study. I'll take his word for it. I'm actually not going to try that one out. Thanks for that, though, Curtis. Looks like for now, he says it helps you focus better, and it's for science. So you do that, Curtis. Unfortunately, it looks like we have quite a few people in the Bounce Battle chat, but they are all currently in a different game. So we're going to have to wait and see whether or not... It looks like Bird of Hermes does not want to play right now. She is, in fact, in another game. But we do have another player. Oh, this is actually going to be a very interesting game, as it is going to be a Masters League player versus a Masters League player. So thank you so much, LeBouf, for re-entering the balance battles. He showed up last week. Did have a bit of a picky situation, a very rough situation. Did have the handicap that was, what was it? I believe he played as a Protoss player, and he was not allowed to do any research, including Warp Gate technology, and that was really difficult. That was against a Platinum level player. ended up being not so easy of a game for him. I think it was a little bit too hard of a handicap, but this time we will just see a random, a Masters League player versus a Masters League player. A random off. Oh my, this is actually going to be very interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and introduce these players, and the map is in fact going to be in Tomb Valley. We also do have the players LeBouf and McComey. McComey from the last game is sitting up at 2 wins, so if you can get one more win before the end of this balance battle, he will be sitting up at 3 wins, and that is actually what his previous record was. So if he can get one more win after that, he will be sitting at 4. He will be put in first place for the reigning champion title of Balance Battle Champion. Anyways, let's go ahead and see if these players are ready. There we go. XSplit does like to freak out a little bit sometimes. But, let's see. Oh, looks like these players are having a little bit of fun, and... Oh, actually, I really like this. I really like this. Actually, we're going to impose another restriction. I actually really like this idea. For the event of mirror matchups in terms of Masters League player versus Master League player. So what that will basically mean is that so we're going to impose a restriction so that both of these players will both have a handicap imposed on them. So they will be equally handicapped. Now, what this handicap will be you are not allowed to attack until you get to 4 bases. Hold on. Let's see, was it? You are not... My co-caster Curtis came up with this handicap, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Before you can do anything else, so I guess that also means teching. You are not even probably allowed to build a gateway, you're not allowed to build a spawning pool, you're not allowed to build a barracks, anything, except for probably supply depots and pylons and overlords. Alright, so let me go over the handicap just one more time. The handicap is both of these players are not allowed to do anything until they are on 4 bases. That means you're not allowed to build queens, you're not allowed to build attacking units, you're not allowed to attack, nothing. You have to get 4 bases before you really do anything else. So this is going to be a very macro-centric game. So let's go ahead and introduce these players. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner of Tomb Valley, we have spawning as the yellow Zerg player. He is currently winning as 2 wins in this balance battle, King of the Hill style show, I guess. So for now, we do have him spawning, and down here in the bottom right corner, his name is McComey. And I will also note that both these players did go as random. So Zerg is... They can actually see you talk. I'm pretty sure they can see you talk, Curtis. But anyways, his opponent over here in the bottom left-hand corner, spawning as the blue Zerg, so it's going to be a ZVZ. We have LeBouf. So both of these players, because it is a mirror matchup, it's going to be very, very balanced. Actually, let me just double check to see what exactly he ended up saying. Oops. Zerg is 5 hatches before the spawning pool. Okay, so both of these players are not allowed to do anything, not even throw down a spawning pool until they get to 5 hatches. So we're going to have a lot of time to kill. I don't know if you guys know what to talk about. So, okay, let's just talk about where they could be taking these expansions, as that's going to be a very important thing to note going into the late game. So this is actually going to be a very fun game just because it is in fact a mirror matchup. It is a Zerg versus Zerg, and oftentimes people do complain Zerg versus Zerg. Oh, that's so hard to get expansions on. It's so hard to transition into that late game just because that Zergling Baneling micro is so scary. But for this one, we're going to see 5 bases, and that does mean that choosing where you're going to take your expansion is going to be very important. Looks like McComey's going to go ahead and take this third over here. A very nice decision. This is a pretty natural third to take. Looks like at the same time, LeBouf going to be going for this third as well. And what I would really like to see is whether or not either of these players are even going to try and risk this expansion over here, or if either of them will... Actually, neither of these players will really be able to take these two expansions over here and over here, as it'll be very, very difficult to take those expansions trying to knock down those destructible rocks with just drones, as you can't really make any Zerglings until then. Oh, the players cannot hear me. So 5 bases before you can do anything. Just starting, so yes, they can just immediately start and then go for some, immediately throw down their spawning pool. I think that is perfectly acceptable. But anyways, what I was saying before is likely these players are going to have to take these expansions up here, as we can already see LeBouf is planning on doing. His natural is finished up, so you can start producing a couple of workers over there. Keeping an eye on the worker count is going to be very important in this matchup, just because of the great importance put on those workers. Considering you will be on 5 bases, you might still have a very difficult time actually mining from all 5 of those bases. So mostly I think these players should be just trying to mine from maybe 3 of the bases, while just instead of trying to mine from all 5 of them, utilizing those extra bases for larva. And I think that will be the best way that they can try and pull this out. And oh my god, Makomi taking the most ballsy expansion on the map right now, taking this middle expansion. That's actually going to be very scary, considering LeBouf does now actually... Wait. Oh, actually it looks like Makomi playing a little bit of a cheeky play. He did take all 4 of these over here. It looks like, or sorry, these 5 over here, but he took a macro hatch. So a very interesting decision from Makomi. Really deciding he's not going to go for the expansion route. Going to be just throwing down those 5 hatcheries. And it looks like actually LeBouf going above and beyond. He must be an A+ student because he has 6 hatcheries. And now, only now, just throwing down that spawning pool. So once again, LeBouf's going to be in a very difficult situation, as that spawning pool is already finished up for Makomi. He's already throwing down a roach warren, so a lot of aggression could be coming out of Makomi in the near future. He's going to have so much larva. Let's just go to take a... Actually, this is a lot less larva than I thought they would have. So, but these players are building up quite a bit of larva at this point in time. Now Makomi's sitting at about 10 larva. But pretty soon, these players should have more larva than they can really even hope to spend, considering their income will not be that high for just a little bit. But at the same time, LeBouf is only now just finishing up that spawning pool at the same time that the roach warren is going to be finishing up. So LeBouf is really going to have to be depending on probably just Zerglings to hold off any kind of big aggression that Makomi decides to do. It looks like Makomi is building 6 roaches right now, so they will be able to barrel their way across the map. Are the roaches? Yes, the roaches are even being built over here at this very close expansion over here in the center of the map. So they will be able to walk immediately straight up to LeBouf's expansion over here at the 3rd. And only now looks like LeBouf is going to be scouting this out and saying, oh no, the roaches are already out. The roaches are popping and they're going to make their way over. And LeBouf needs to throw down these emergency spine crawlers. Oh god, of LeBouf. I don't think that these spine crawlers are going to get out in time. He decides the same thing. He's going to go ahead and maybe decide to throw them down over here. I think this is a very wise decision. And it looks like at the same time, is Makomi building anymore? It looks like Makomi is actually just going to go ahead and drone up behind us. I was saying the drone count is going to be very important in this matchup, and that is so true. It looks like for now, Makomi is actually going to spiral ahead a little bit in that drone count, as LeBouf really just deciding to go ahead and take more expansions than maybe he really needed to at this point. Granted, he was forced to do that, but he did end up taking 6 instead of 5, so that did put him a little bit behind in exactly how much he could drone up. And now he does also have all of these roaches to worry about. He does have quite a few spine crawlers already coming up, and he is actually throwing down this macro hatchery. I'm really curious if LeBouf believes that he gets 6 expansions. I believe it's just 5. I believe that was what I was told and what I was had told LeBouf. But oh, actually, it looks like that is a wise decision as well. He is actually using this as a bit of a wall off, maybe to stop those roaches from really being able to funnel in. But it looks like Makomi doing a very wise decision. He realizes that there is likely just going to be a huge spine crawler wall, as there is over here at the natural LeBouf. So he's going to go ahead and just start picking off the expansions of LeBouf. Hey, you know what? If my opponent invested in these expansions, even if he's not really doing a great job mining from them, I might as well pick them off with the units that I have, knowing that my opponent does not really have the opportunity to do a lot to me while I have that. Now, it looks like one thing LeBouf does have going for him is he does have a bit of gas being mined, so he might be able to go for that lair tech or something, but for now, he is just depending on these Zerglings and actually going for a bit of counter-attacking. Oh my god, actually, wait, oh, okay, looks like there were some Zerglings hidden in there, but it looks like over here we can see not that many workers killed as of just yet, but it looks like for now they were able to snipe off that expansion. LeBouf does still have these 2 expansions sitting up over here, and a couple of Zerglings being a little bit lazy over here. But these Zerglings are slow Zerglings. They're not going to be able to do a very good job getting a surround on these roaches, but they do eventually get that surround. They might be able to pick off quite a number of these roaches. These roaches slowly dwindling in health, and with these reinforcing Zerglings, I think that he will be able to clean up the army of Makomi. So a nice win for LaBouffe, but unfortunately for him, he's going to be slacking a little bit behind in that drone count. It looks like Makomi also producing a couple Zerglings of his own, and unfortunately for LaBouffe, they do end up having that speed, but fortunately for LaBouffe, I guess he just has a lot more Zerglings. Actually, no, I take that back. LaBouffe actually a little bit behind the Zergling count now, as Makomi just producing a massive amount of Zerglings. He also gets a great concave, is going to be able to clean up all of the Zerglings for LaBouffe, and now LaBouffe sitting at pretty much just, well, he does still have 32 Zerglings, so I don't know exactly where they are. Looks like they're kind of scattered a little bit across the map. That's not a good situation for LaBouffe. He wants that army grouped up to be able to defend against Makomi's army. It looks like these Zerglings are going to go ahead and do a run by over here, over at LaBouffe's, one of his expansions. I don't even know. I've lost track. It looks like LaBouffe now trying to run those drones away, and at the same time, it looks like where did those Zerglings of Makomi end up going? I do not quite know, but it looks like at the same time, these Zerglings are going to go ahead and pick off all these drones over here at this expansion that don't exist, but looks like at the same time there are going to be a couple of spine calls that do have to get canceled. So Makomi looking to be in a very good position in this game. He's even going for the Hydralisk tech. That's going to be very useful, especially dealing with damage against those Zerglings, as those Zerglings really just don't have a lot of health. Those Hydralisk attack very quickly, and he's going to be knocking down those destructible rocks to clear a pathway open over to his third expansion. So now we can see over here that LaBouffe is really just stuck on these two bases at this point. He does have this third up over here, but it's not really mining. Actually, he does also have this fourth over here, so LaBouffe still sitting on 4 bases, but he's looking to be in a very precarious situation. Meanwhile, we do see an infestation pit going down for Makomi. Where is LaBouffe's tech at? He does have quite a bit of gas mined up, but where is he spending that? He does finally have that speedling research, but he is not really spending that gas anywhere else. He does have a pretty hefty drone count as well. He is sitting up at about 66 drones. But where are they? Looks like a couple of the drones are making their way across the map to try and start mining from those expansions he did end up taking. He does have a couple of Zerglings over here as well, positioned to try and be in the defensive position. But really, I think he should really start teching up, as he could be very much caught off guard by any kind of upgrade advantage, any kind of Mutalist transition. Oh god, a Mutalist transition would actually just decimate LaBouffe at this point in time, as he's sitting on just 3 queens right now, and really no evolution chamber. Not really a lot. It looks like finally he's starting that layer tech upgrade, so he's actually not too far. Wait, no, he is very far behind. Looks like a Makomi already going for the hive tech upgrade, so he's gonna be able to. Oh yeah, he does actually have layer already finished, as he does have that infestation pit completed. He also has the Hydrals out, but more importantly, he's gonna be going for that hive, and that's gonna be very, very scary if he does decide to go for that Ultralisk transition, or even the Broodlord transition. LaBouffe is gonna have such a difficult time dealing with that. Now we do see a good number of Zerglings for LaBouffe going away across the map, doing a little bit of scouting to see whether or not Makomi has taken any of these expansions. But it looks like as of right now, he is not. He's just going to be sticking on these 4 bases that he does have right now. He should be running a little bit low on the money in the main, but shouldn't be too much of a concern. He is going to go ahead and take this expansion over here to make up for that. Meanwhile, LaBouffe is still doing really well on that expansion count. He's also doing pretty gosh darn well, keeping up with Makomi despite losing quite a few drones. And really, I think that Makomi is going to be looking to do a big push, and there it is. He is pretty much maxed out. He has quite a few Hydros, he has quite a few Roaches, and a good number, or at least a couple of Infestors just kind of tossed in there. They're going to be able to do a massive amount of damage, especially if the entire army of LaBouffe is just Zerglings, and only Zerglings being produced. Oh no, LaBouffe is going to have such a hard time holding off this huge amount of aggression, even with these couple of Spine Crawlers and these Banelings. I don't know if it's going to be enough, and it looks like all the Zerglings for Makomi running up here to try and just do as much damage to the expansions of LaBouffe. Now let's see over here in the upgrade count, we do see Makomi is sitting on +1 Carapace upgrades, as he did go ahead and get those evolution chambers a lot earlier than LaBouffe. LaBouffe doesn't even have any evolution chambers. Oh no, it looks like the army is going to go ahead and charge up. The Banelings coming down. They might be able to do a lot of damage. Oh no, they got bungled. That's a terrible loss for LeBouf actually just sitting now at around 70 supplies, so very poor situation for LeBouf. He's almost pretty much dead at this point, and roaches were too soon. Cheater. LeBouf not really too happy with that loss, but that does mean that McCoy takes a third victory. That does mean he is pretty much tied with himself on where he was in the last balance battle game. So very well done by LeBouf and Makomi. So LeBouf trying to go for that very, very, very economic play, going for 6 hatcheries really before doing too much else. But meanwhile, Makomi going for those very early roaches instead, saying, I'm going to get down these expansions as soon as I need to, and then I'm immediately just going to go for roaches. Why the heck not? And he tried to do a little bit of aggression, droned up behind it, managed to do a lot of damage, and was really able to cripple LeBouf, who really just didn't have the opportunity to tech out of those Zerglings and a couple of those Banelings as well. So anyways, we are going to take a quick break, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in for the first hour of Balance Battles, and hopefully you guys will decide to join in. You guys can join the channel Balance Battle, that's no space, no S, on the North America server, and I will be taking random people. Go ahead and message on my face. He's my co-caster Curtis, and he will go ahead and put you on the queue for joining the next Balance Battle game. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you guys in a bit.
Timmy, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a pro gamer. Well, Timmy, what in blue gumdrops is a pro gamer? I want to play video games professionally and get paid for it. Timmy, you're going to need a real job if you want to survive in the real world. A real job? Oh, no. I'm not good at real jobs. I know it sounds silly, but I really, really want to be a pro. Getting all the ladies, maybe one day I'll be starring in a show. Never dreaming cause I'm saving 0 hours for sleep. I'll be playing and be playing 80 hours a week. And so silly, but little Timmy really, really wants to be a pro. It all started with my NES. Yes, it all started with my NES, and I was the very best. Carried it from various areas with a television near me. I was probably the scariest from the east to west. That's undebatable. I know you are relating to the arcades and zoo, and I'm such an animal. Standing up for days is what Street Fighter made me do. That's understandable, cause all my friends played it too. My old lady hated. I'm staying up late, and I barely even ate, cause my diet's only 8-bit. Picture a little black, skinny ass, middle class kid that played Punch Out, doing it big with Little Mac. And now you want to play with me in Contra? Yeah, I know the memories of level 7 haunts you. Up, down, left, right, BA start. And then you tear the game apart. And I know it sounds silly, but I really, really want to be a pro. Getting all the ladies, maybe one day I'll be starring in a show. Never dreaming cause I'm saving 0 hours for sleep. I'll be playing and be playing 80 hours a week. It's so silly, but little Timmy really, really wants to be a pro. Now I'm posted with Doritos in a can of Dr. Pepper. I got my Neo Geo playing Fatal Fury Special. I use a metal slugger when I'm playing Super Baseball. In 2020, I'ma still be an ace. Call anyone and everyone to come and get their dreams smashed. On Dreamcast, I was ready to rumble, so watch competitors crumble. You better run and get annihilated. Even my VMU keeps on making smiley faces. The amount of places that I own locally made me get a modem to dominate them globally. My notoriety came with such variety to the point that society wanted to say goodbye to me. My last girl said she'd make my dreams be the truth. So with a big smile, I threw her a Tifa suit. She said, geez, do I look like a freak to you? Yeah. What's next? You gonna dress me up as Pikachu? I don't mean to be rude, but either please put this on or be gone, cause I got a game to beat her to. We broke up the next day. It saddened me, the Final Fantasy offered to me to be reality. I know it sounds silly, but I really, really wanna be a pro. Getting all the ladies, maybe one day I'll be starring in a show. Never dreaming cause I'm saving 0 hours for sleep. I'll be playing and be playing 80 hours a week. It's so silly, but little Timmy really, really wants to be a pro. Remember those cold Decembers? Oh, I remember that old Nintendo. What I went through to be here, I would make this one thing clear. This road is ending. I'm almost proud. This road is ending. I'm almost proud. love my game so much, I'm getting them all mixed up. I got carpal tunnel all up in my wrist, cause FPS, RTS, and MMO RPGs make me need to AFK, but I never BRB. The payment for my car is far past due, cause of food war I choose more StarCraft 2. And they shut my heat off, I can't afford no dinner. Thanks to Blizzard, it's gonna be a stone cold winter. I see a soul Korea. I see a soul Korea. I see a soul Korea. I see my whole career starting in Seoul, Korea. You see my soul areas that I belong in Seoul, Korea. For real. I know it sounds silly, but I really, really wanna be a pro. Getting all the ladies, maybe one day I'll be starring in a show. Never dreaming, cause I'm saving 0 hours for sleep. I'll be playing and be playing 80 hours a week. It sounds silly, but little Timmy really, really wants to be a pro. Just like my name was Flash, but now I'm just plat, and now I'm just plat, and now I'm just plat. Oh, laced into bronze, it was so wrong. No games I won, so I made songs, but I stayed calm, and before long I will be strong, just like J Dong. Now I'm in platinum, and I go at them, hoping for that one promotion. Learn from these streams, watch Cam TV. MC, I wish I was Korean. So we're laddering just to compete, and it's Saturday when we GG. So we patiently play and tune in today. We'll make it somewhere, but for now we say, when I'm Grandmaster, I will play faster. They'll call me Bonjour, just like my name was Flash. But now I'm just plat, and now I'm just plat, and now I'm just plat. Oh, so many doors right at my door, pulled SCVs into repair galore. I heard them say, toss is the way, toss is the answer, that's what they say. Look at these cheaters, combat and teaser. I'd rather six pool like Action Jesus. They should promote us, black, bronze and gold suck. I know we'll be pro just if someone would coach us. We're laddering just to compete, and it's Saturday when we GG. So we patiently play and tune in today. We'll make it some way, but for now we say, when I'm Grandmaster, I will play faster. They'll call me Bonjour, just like my name was Flash. But now I'm just plat, and now I'm just plat, and now I'm just plat. Oh, 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 oh. Give me free wins, just retire. Take your cheesing back to ire. Build more bases, take the map, bro. Use control groups, learn to macro. In your natural, lings are dancing. As you lose your whole expansion, don't throw tantrums, just get practice. And remember, special tactics. Staying forever numb. It's okay if you play like a scrub. Let's rejoice in this beautiful game, cause regardless at the end of the day, we all say, when I'm Grandmaster, I will play faster. They'll call me Bonjour, just like my name was Flash. But now I'm just plat, and now I'm just plat, and now I'm just plat. Oh, when I'm Grandmaster, and I play faster, and I defeat you, don't you go getting all mad, or blame it on lag. Just wave your flag, just wave your flag. GG. When I'm Grandmaster, when I'm Grandmaster, and I defeat you, Don't you go getting all mad. Don't you go getting all mad. Don't even blame it on lag. Lag, lag. Don't you go blame it on lag.
Hello. We are about to get back into the games. Let's go ahead and see if there are anyone that does want to play. That might actually be a little bit of a problem. Alright, if anyone does want to play, you can go ahead and join the channel. Balance Battle, that's balance, no S, and no space, battle, no S. So that's only on North America for right now. But go ahead and join that channel if you do want to play. We do have, I think... Oh, it looks like we did have one player that he decided to leave. Looks like he actually needed to go, so... For now, we are going to get one player. He will be a... I think he's in Platinum. We have a Platinum level Terran player. Let's go ahead and find out who his opponent will be. For now, we do not have an opponent, so I'm actually just going to chill for just a little bit. You guys can wait just a little bit longer, and we'll come back to you when we do, in fact, have that other opponent. Sit tight, guys. As we are going to go ahead and get started. We have our two players. We have my co-caster Amaface. He's going to participate in his own balance battle, and his opponent is going to be Rock Lobster. So Rock Lobster, the Platinum level Terran player, and Amaface, the Diamond level Terran player, but I think he's playing random right now. So anyways, the players are ready. I'm going to go ahead and get this game started. The map is going to be Core Hall Compound LE. So that is the Blizzard version of the map. Let's go ahead and check that out right over here. The game is in fact starting. Both of these players are going to... Well, actually, since Amaface is going for random, that might actually be a very interesting game. Now, the restriction applied to Amaface is going to be that he is not allowed to exceed 150 supply. So that means he's in a late game situation. When he gets to max versus max, he cannot get to that 200 that his opponent will likely be at. So he has to be very, very careful about that. And oh my god, we see here spawning in the bottom left hand corner of, I forgot the name of the Core Hall Compound. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Coral Hall Compound as the Blue Zerg. He went random and ended up as the Zerg player, even though he generally does play Terran. He did used to play Zerg, though. Anyways, we have my co-caster, Amaface, and his opponent up here in the top right-hand corner of Coral Hall Compound, spawning as the Red Terran. This is, in fact, his normal race that he generally plays. We have the one, the only Rock Lobster, and he's going to be spawning as red because all lobsters are red. What, you thought a rock lobster would be a different color? No, they don't turn gray. But anyways, we do see Rock Lobster is going to go ahead and start that wall off as Curtis, my co-caster Amaface, was kind enough to actually just tell Rock Lobster exactly what his race was. He told him that he was Zerg. The Rock Lobster is going to just go ahead and throw up that wall and just get started on that so that he does not lose any kind of early Zergling run-bys. Now remember, the handicap applied to Amaface is that he's not allowed to exceed 150 supply. So that means he's really not going to face too many impairments early on, at least in the early game. So the longer the game goes, the more in favor it's going to be for Lobster. Now let's end up seeing what Amaface does end up doing. It looks like he's going to be going for that hatchery first build. So it looks like he feels comfortable knowing that he will be able to ward off any kind of bunker aggression early on with just those drones. And that is something that you oftentimes see happen in a lot of those late game, pro game situations. Maybe Amaface also should know a little bit about Rock Lobster's playstyle, as I know that both of these players do play for the Purdue University CSL team. Or at least they are familiar with each other, as they do participate in a lot of the events held by the Purdue CSL team. Now, anyways, what I was saying is that Amaface might feel comfortable knowing that he can hold off any kind of aggression that Rock Lobster does decide to do, and Rock Lobster is actually going to go ahead and scout for a very early third. A third taken at the 3-minute and 20-second mark, maybe being a little bit suspecting of potentially Amaface being a little bit greedy with some of his expansions. I know I've played a lot with Amaface, and sometimes he does like to go for some kooky builds that involve some very early expansions. Doesn't look like he's going to be going for that, at least not quite yet, as that expansion for him will be finishing up in just a second. We do see 2 Zerglings already being produced, actually 4 now, and they will make their way across the map, probably be able to pick off at least 1 or 2 of these Marines, but it looks like these Marines are going to be sticking together as a group. They do have their friend pass, and they are going to be holding hands as they make their way across the map for the most part. And it looks like he's going to be looking to do a little bit of aggression. This SCV still being very annoying, getting a great scout off. These Zerglings will be able to clean up this SCV, but Rock Lobster does see everything going on in Amaface's base. We do see the hatchery turning to the dark side over there. It looks like he wants to learn how to do chain lightning. I don't know if we'll actually end up seeing that in this match though. But for now, it looks like Rock Lobster are going to go ahead and just grab the bottom Xel'Naga Tower, and while sending this one lone Marine over to the top Xel'Naga Tower. So he's going to have a very good idea of exactly what's going on the map. Meanwhile, he does have a Reactor Hellion build coming out of the work, so he's going to be able to put on a lot of really nice pressure. Rock Lobster maybe looking to do a lot of early aggression to really stop Amaface from being able to drone up too much. I think it's very important to do. Looks like these 2 Zerglings spawned from the Dark Hatchery over here, so they're going to be able to eventually use Chain Lightning and just be able to strangle their opponents with just the force. It's going to be very interesting to see whether or not these Zerglings will actually turn to the light side once again. But until then, we're going to have to wait and see what these players decide to do. It looks like for now, Rock Lobster is going to be trying to transition out of this. He knows that his biggest advantage is going to be in taking this into a long game, into the late game, while just putting on just a little bit of pressure. Just did produce about 3 or so Hellions, so not a lot of pressure going to be coming in, but just a little bit. He will be able to pick off a couple of Zerglings, force a couple more Zerglings, and that could have been drones. But meanwhile, he will be expanding behind that, and that's very important to know. He is going for that starport as well, so wouldn't be too surprised to see a couple of medevacs coming out as well, and maybe going into that bio play, as he's also adding a couple of barracks. Now, these Hellions are doing a little bit of damage. They do manage to kill 2 Zerglings, so not a lot, but they are just going to contain Amaface from really being able to push out. He's going to try and prevent any creep spread, do as much damage as he can without really sacrificing too much. And it looks like slowly but surely Amaface's buildings are talking to each other and turning each other to the dark side. Now we see the dark side spawning pool, potentially followed soon by the dark side Roach Warren. But we do see it once again, these Hellions just being very annoying. Meanwhile, behind all of this, we do see a reactor going down on that starport, so that will allow him to build those medevacs out very quickly. We also see siege mode and those siege tanks coming out, so we do see a pretty standard looking force coming out from Rock Lobster and doing a very good job just positioning these Hellions outside. Now, one interesting thing to note is when, or in fact, is Amaface going to be taking his 3rd expansion. He cannot really reliably take that 3rd expansion until he can ward off these Hellions. As these Hellions will basically just say, hey, you can't even get the drone out to take your 3rd expansion. How are you planning to do anything else? And if these Zerglings try and chase those Hellions, they're going to end up losing quite a few of them to these Hellions, as they can do a good amount of damage if microed properly. But it looks like that will not be the case, as we do see a couple of roaches popping, and they're going to be able to ward off these Hellions without too many problems. These two queens wanting to get in on the action as they start to do that creep spread. Very important to do in this matchup, as that creep is so important for allowing those banelings to just roll right into the Terran army, as well as those Zerglings really getting into the face of the Terran army. But at the same time, it looks like Rock Lobster just going to be making Marines, and more Marines, and potentially should be making a couple more SCVs as top SCV production is letting his minerals build up just a little bit, but it looks like it was not for no reason whatsoever. He is going to be throwing down those barracks, so he will be starting to produce additional Marines, really looking to get a big force. And it looks like now the roaches are finally going to ward off those Hellions. These two roaches out for blood. These roaches a little bit lazier and don't really want to chase across the map. But for now, it does look like these two roaches will be able to clean up any of these Marines. We're seeing after Zilog Rush Hour, maybe get a little bit of map control that he did end up losing when those Hellions did come out. But meanwhile, we do see the 2-base Spire play coming out from Amaface, so a very interesting decision indeed. He's going to be looking to do some good damage with those Mules, but I'm not sure how effective it will be, as we can see over here that Rock Lobster does have a pretty hefty Marine count. He has quite a few barracks already coming out and actually finishing up, so he's going to have a really hard time doing a lot of damage. Now, one thing that is going to be going in Amaface's favor is the fact that there are so many supply depots back here where normally the turrets will end up going. So there's not going to be a whole lot of room to throw down any or a lot of turrets in Rock Lobster's mineral line, as most of that space is taken up by those supply depots. Now we do see a nice little positioned Overlord from Amaface, so he's going to be able to do a little bit of scouting information. He can easily dart over here to the third to check when in fact it is taken. This game into the late game, as that will be where his advantage will lie, as Amaface does still have that restriction of not being able to exceed 150 supply. But Rock Lobster going to be putting on the aggression, trying to force maybe or kill off that expansion over here at the third. We're going to have to see whether or not Amaface can actually hold this off. It's going to be a very difficult hold for him. He does have quite a few Zerglings and does also have that Baneling nest down, so he can produce those Banelings. He will also be attacking onto his own creep if he does engage at the right area, as he also has some pretty good creep spread going on, so he will be able to get those Banelings right over into the Marines very quickly. But unfortunately for him, oh, actually, where are those Mutalisks? Where are those Mutalisks? Looks like there are still 6 Mutalisks somewhere on the map, but I cannot find them for the life of me. Looks like Amaface. Oh, actually, Amaface should be pulling those Mutalisks back, as the drop finally did happen from Rock Lobster. Meanwhile, at the same time, there are these sieged up units over here and these Marines picking off the third expansion. So Amaface getting picked apart. He's going to be losing a lot of drones to this drop. Actually, no, not losing the drones, just losing those Zerglings for now. But where exactly are those Mutalisks? Very interesting. I think those mules could be very useful for Amaface in this situation, as he really could use those mules to be trying to do a little bit of darting around, picking off these siege tanks, really just delaying any kind of further pushes going into his creep spread and into his natural expansion. But meanwhile, we do see that there are turrets up over here at Rock Lobster's base, so even though Amaface is producing additional Mutalisks, he will not be able to do a massive amount of damage. He might be able to pick off a couple of the reinforcing units, but Rock Lobster is doing a very smart thing indeed. He's rallying his units back over to regroup with the rest of his base, or rest of his forces, and it looks like the Mutalisks are finally making their cameo appearance in this matchup. And it looks like for now, these Marines are going to have no trouble warding off those Mutalisks, as this is a very large Marine count. They are sitting at +1, while the Mutalisks do not have any upgrades. Amaface a little bit low on gas count, so he's going to have a little bit of trouble trying to get those upgrades out to match those Marines. Meanwhile, we even see the +1 weapons for those siege tanks out, and at the same time, we do see +1 carapace out for Almaface, so it's going to be a little bit helpful for those Zerglings and those Banelings against those Marines, but against those siege tanks, it's not going to end up doing too much. Now, these Mutalisks are going to come in, they're going to be able to do a decent amount of damage, they probably won't be able to pick off, oh, actually, they might be able to do a good amount of damage if they just sit a little bit away from those missile charges. See right over here, they're going to hit the money spot, and now Rock Lobster realizes it. He's going to have to retreat his SCVs over to his natural expansion. There are going to be a couple of Marines over here just popping out, and they will be able to ward off a couple of these Mutalisks and do a good amount of damage, but at the same time, Almaface has to worry about this massive army sitting right outside his front door, and Almaface is hitting close to be at that supply cap. Well, he is losing a couple of these Mutalisks. That's not exactly what he wants to be doing right now. And it looks like Rock Lobster is just going to be charging down the front of Almaface's face. And meanwhile, the Mutalisks are forced back. They might be able to get some good picks off on a couple of these siege tanks who are in the back, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Almaface needs a massive Baneling cannon. Oh my god, there's actually a drop going down in the main of Almaface at the same time. They're picking up quite a few of these drones. We already have 21 drones killed, and it looks like Almaface is going to have to top out. There's the GG. Now, with Almaface losing that game to that multi-prong aggression, losing that third, and really just getting a little bit out macro, we can see here sitting up on a little bit too high of a mineral count. So very well done by Rock Lobster, and that's actually going to put Rock Lobster at 1-0 currently in the balance battles. We're going to have to see if there are in fact any other additional challenges. And if there are, then we'll go ahead and jump into that game. Oh, there we go. So, very well done by Rock Lobster, going for that big timing push right around the time that Almaface was getting close to 150 supply. So it looks like the handicap did not get factored in too much into that game. I think that Almaface maybe should have tried to stick with his main race as, I think going as Zerg, which he has not, I don't believe, hasn't played for a while. Ended up handicapping him a little bit further than maybe he necessarily wanted to. Alrighty, so sit tight guys for just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and find some additional players and go ahead and just enjoy the music of Tempo StarCraft, and yeah, go ahead and check out a lot of his music. It has some really awesome music, so I'm just going to go ahead and play that for you guys while we decide our next challengers.